What's up with rhyming? There seems to be a bit of discussion about the topic of rhyming and its importance when it comes to read. So I'm here today because I'm super passionate about getting out information to families that is grounded in real research to help families provide the very best for their kids. If you don't already know who I am, my name is Dr. Deanna. I am a current homeschool mom about to retire as I'm going to graduate my son from homeschool. But also I spent over 20 years in the K-3 classroom, and during that time I earned my doctorate in curriculum and instruction from the University of South Carolina. Today I want to talk a little bit about rhyming. And recently, with all of the emphasis on phonics, which is super important, okay? Please hear me on that. Hang in there with me because phonics is the key. For 90% of our children, they need systematic phonics instruction. But there's been some buzz about that means that maybe skills like rhyming just aren't necessary. Now, it is true that a child does not need to rhyme in order to learn to read. So you might be wondering, well, if they don't have to rhyme in order to read, why is it important? I have my thoughts. Now, there's been discussion about, well, it's because it helps them with word patterns, and that is actually, I do believe that's part of the truth. But there's some bigger information there. Rhyming and nursery rhymes and all that wordplay, it really plays into something called fluency. And I believe the reason why we have a long-term reading success for children who were able to rhyme when they were younger is because once our children get to about fourth grade for sure, they transition over to they're no longer learning to read, they're reading to learn. And if you are in a school setting, a traditional grade level system, then that will be very applicable for you. But in either case, at some point, our children transition from learning how to read to needing to read in order to learn their subjects. And that's where we start to see the discrepancy between children that plateau, that stagnate and do not progress. Now, hear me out. If your child is struggling with rhyming, that does not mean that they are not going to be proficient and solid readers. But I want to encourage you not to take that wordplay out. And in fact, remember that we can work on phonics at the same time as we work on these other phonological awareness skills. The two top predictors of learning to read success is phonological awareness, which includes phonemic awareness, and phonics. So we want those two combined. If you have a child who is 4, 3, I highly, highly recommend emphasizing the wordplay. You can teach them their letter sounds. You can start to teach them some simple blending. There's nothing wrong with that. If they are ready for that, by all means, go for it. But please don't forget that wordplay because that is giving them fluency and expression, and all of that is going to play into long-term success. And when I see what's going on in reading instruction and I see the conversations that are going on, I see some of the content that's been coming out, and we're telling people to just teach kids to blend, but we're taking away some of the skills that produce really competent readers, because reading is not just blending, right? That's just one part of reading. Reading is true reading is being able to understand what you're reading. And yes, children need to be able to blend, but if they're missing some of these foundational skills, then we are missing the boat. And my fear is that we're going to get to the other side and we're going to end up with something called functional illiteracy, where we have children that can blend, but they're not processing what they're blending. So we want to prevent that. By all means, phonemic awareness, phonics, phonological awareness, all of those things combined together are the foundation. We can see for hundreds of years, children have been doing wordplay as littles. So we know that this is foundational. And, we want to be careful with that swinging pendulum. We really want to take care that we're not missing the forest for the trees. And with that, I encourage you to subscribe. You're here, join the community, but also you have questions, you have thoughts, drop it in the comments below. I love to hear from my community, and I'll see you next time when I teach to your super learning strengths, one child and family at a time.